Thanks for watching Community Close-Up. With students returning to class this month, we go back more than 100 years to find out what school was like in the early 1900s. Although they may not have had to walk uphill both ways, students had much different lives and responsibilities. We leave you at the Anoka County Historical Society to find out how. For many, the end of summer begins at the mall with back-to-school shopping. 9 decades ago, that tradition looked slightly different.
To buy your school clothes might mean in the 20s and 30s you went down to the feed store and you might buy your bag of chicken feed, and your bag of chicken feed was printed in very pretty designs. This is the size of your bag of chicken feed, and then you could pick out 2 alike for girls because it takes 2 bags to make a dress, and that way your mom could take it home and dad uses the chicken feed to feed the chickens and you had fabric for your dress. So you started a little sooner. Kids probably didn't have the range of clothes that we do today.
Inside the classroom, parents and districts look closely at class sizes to evaluate a student's ability to get the teacher's attention. Anoka County Historical Society Program Manager Vicki Wendell says that wasn't always possible in the 1800s.
In a town school, a teacher would have 1 grade. We have a reference in about 1875 that talks about how this one young teacher, her classroom was very unruly and they were just really struggling. They couldn't read very well and they didn't know their recitations and things like that. And then at the end of the little report it noted that, well, perhaps some leniency should be granted to this teacher. It was her first time teaching. She was trying to deal with a class of 104 first graders. Can you imagine 104 first graders? Yeah, all by herself. There's no teacher's aides or anything. A town school could have a lot of kids in a classroom.
In recent years, iPads and smartboards have helped to engage students. Wendell says a simpler invention likely made an even bigger difference.
A ballpoint pen would have been a huge step forward over that inkwell and dipping it in that liquid ink. That would have made a tremendous revolution in how you were able to write.
For some, school ended much earlier than the completion of 12th grade.
A lot of it is based on family situations, because if you had money enough that you could feed everybody and keep everything going without having to send kids out to work, you probably did choose to give them a little more education. School was not mandated past 8th grade. It was almost a luxury in some families. You really wanted to get an education because it was believed that your education was going to get you ahead. That would get you to be a better person, a better job, a better life, whatever it was you were looking for. Education was seen as very important, but it was a privilege. It was done after the chores were done. So it's a little bit different approach than what we tend to think about today. If you were a farm kid and they needed you to help with the chores, maybe you only got to school 3 days a week. And that might make a difference in how fast you'd finish that book.
While the pain has gone away, memories of how teachers disciplined troublemakers remain, using rulers or paddles instead of detentions and suspensions.
Many people remember being smacked over the fingers with a ruler. Even I remember in District 11 when the gym teachers would have a big paddle, and if you misbehaved, they could swat you in the butt with the paddle. So yeah, that's changed dramatically from years past.
Wendell says she enjoys her role of educating kids and adults about the county's history.
We are a museum. We always are teaching. We are always working with our library. We're always working with our schools. We have a number of school programs to try to make history in particular more fun.
The museum offers real historical artifacts to schools to help 6th graders achieve their state history requirements.
This is the part that kids love. We actually send real artifacts out, and these are all from our hands-on collection, so they're meant to be handled and used. They are not part of the museum's permanent collection. They're expected to get worn out.
With all the advancements we've seen, Wendell says the goals and value of education remain the same.
Bottom line is education will get you further. If you are educated and you have a good, solid knowledge base behind you, you can get a lot further in the world than you can if you don't have that. And that education was available to all students, but not necessarily taken advantage of by all students, which kind of fits again today. We've kind of, as a society, kind of written history off as being dull and dry and boring. It isn't. It's all about people and how we've tried to master whatever problem it was we were facing. And that's fascinating. The stories of people in our past are amazing stories. And history can teach us a lot. There's the famous line about, well, those who don't remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Yeah, that's true. But it also can project a better future, because if we look back and say, okay, we tried this, this, and this, let's try that because we haven't tried that before. Maybe that's the answer that'll make the future better. And education, be it in history or anything else, can always try to make the future better.